Hi, I'm Andreas, and in this video I will show you how to set up the match settings. First, we need to navigate to the project settings, and then we go to the match settings. We have two different setting pages here. One is the matching view, where you choose what you want to see when you are looking for matches of a certain user type. So if you're looking for some elderly person to be matched with a student, then when you're looking for the elderly people, you can choose what do you want to sort by. Often it will be the distance calculation, and you can choose if it should be ascending or descending. Ascending probably makes the most sense. You can choose what default filters you want on. So often, as is the case here, we are looking for a certain user type. We are looking for someone who is matchable. That is depending on where they are in the flow, and also that they don't have another match already. I'll show a little bit more about that in the other match settings page. And then often we also say that we don't want to look at users which are deleted or paused. So the deleted and paused fields are a date if they are deleted or paused, but in this case we want them to be empty, meaning that they are not deleted or paused. And you can add any kind of other filter you want, and it just works in exactly the same way as in the user list when you create filters. But we're not going to do that now. You can also choose which columns you see by default. So once again, it's a lot like when you create the custom lists in the user list. And then when you look at the card view, as we call it, when you click on a user, like one of the options that you might want to match the user you're looking at with, you see kind of a lot of their personal info and other stuff like tags and groups and so on. And you can choose what parts of that personal info you want to see. Like, do you want to remove the field of when they were created? You can add other fields, remove them. You can choose the order. You can choose if you want them to be full width or half width. That's just how much space they take up in the card view. And so basically you can configure this matching view to be as you prefer. And you can then do that for each user type. And obviously remember to click save when you're done editing. And then the other page we have under match settings is just called match settings. Once again, you look at it for each user type, and you choose different, more kind of fundamental things about how they work in relation to being matched. So the first thing is whether they can initiate a match or not. That basically determines if they are in a matchable state. So you pick the matchable states here. Are they then just possible to find as a match for another user, or can you also find a match from them? What this means in very practical terms is just whether the match tab down here in the bottom right corner will show up on the user or not when they're in a matchable state. The start new flow on determines what happens when you end a match or when you add another flow to a user. So it's just kind of where do they start. And often this will be the same as the matchable state, because it makes a lot of sense that you want to be able to match someone again or give them another match when you add a flow. And then count match based on is when do we count this as a match. As I mentioned in the match video, when we create a match, it doesn't count as a match yet, it's just a temporary match. And then later on in the flow, when we've kind of arranged the match, then we count it as a match. But it might be that you consider those two the same things, that it's a match immediately. And in that case, you'll just pick the state right after finding a match for them to be the count match state. So once you click completed on the find match state, then they count. Oftentimes you might want to call them and ask, do you actually want this match, and so on. And in that case, you want the state to be a little bit later in the flow so that you know that they've met each other. And then lastly, you can also add end match reasons. These are really terrible examples, but it could be match was a success. Maybe you want to match people for 6 months and then they completed that. Maybe it was not a good match in terms of personalities. And maybe could the last one be what ended because of practical reasons. So those could be different end match reasons that you can also decide on for your setup. And you can always add more end match reasons or delete them or change the order. And these will be asked when you click end match. If you don't have any end match reasons, they won't ask for you to choose one. And I think that's pretty much it for the match settings. So I hope it works well for you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all.